It'll be a bit humid tonight, but rain should stay out of the forecast on the western side of Panama City. The field has certainly taken its fair share of trouble over the last few weeks, but they have managed to get it ready here tonight. Here's a look at the larger bracket, and in the preliminary round, all eyes should turn to the second game of the round of 16 as Marathon will face the winner of this matchup. There are 3 matchups to come tomorrow. We had our first penalties in the preliminary round last night as FAS fell to Managua. Perhaps this is a CONCACAF League of upsets on the horizon this year. Well, for Kai, this is a long-awaited moment. Panamanian football has been gone now for nearly 8 months. Their national team did feature twice a couple of weeks ago, 2 1-0 wins away to Costa Rica. But club soccer returns to Panama this evening for a Kai side who did pick up results in 6 of their 8 games in the Apertura. The problem was 4 of those were draws. Their ability to score oftentimes came up short, and as a result, this is a team that brought in significant reinforcements along with much of their CONCACAF Champions League side of recent years to try and get over the hump, reach the top 6 in this competition, earn a spot in Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League in 2021, and perhaps bring a title back to Panama. Meanwhile, Antigua out of Guatemala, this is a side that's already 7 games into their Apertura season. And with that in mind, the second best record among non-champions in Guatemala, Antigua enters this competition as an underdog away to Panama City and with a lot to prove. It's a group that knows with only a single match, no home and road legs, they simply have to play an offensive game from the jump. There to have a chance to unseat Kai and move on to the next round. Now the preliminary round, different than years past. It is still a 22-team tournament, 18 teams hailing from Central America, and this actually features the eastern and westernmost clubs participating from the Central American region. But the first 2 rounds, this 6-game preliminary round, the 8-game round of 16, will only be single match. So there is no need to park the bus when you reach your destination. You just simply have to get after it, or else you can find yourself out of this competition before you even have a chance to reach CONCACAF Champions League in 2021. Referees making their way out of the tunnel, and the teams follow. Kai in black, and the green and white of the Guatemalan side, Antigua. It's a bit slow to arrive. This game being played without fans in attendance. And yet all the pomp and circumstance of international soccer will continue to rule the day. Jose Guerra's been here. He's done that. 4 starts in the 2019 CONCACAF League. Arms extended up for some of these players. You spend all year hoping you get a chance to play in CONCACAF. And almost as if to remind you of ancient Roman times, gladiators making their way into a Colosseum fit for a match of major significance. They do close the doors behind you. No way out now but to win, be out of this competition. Players 6 feet apart. Gone are the handshakes that so often have become the focal point of the pregame ceremony. The anthem still rains down. The lights are on in Panama City, a stadium that's longed for a match. And while it won't be played with fans, surely many around Panama, around Guatemala, and throughout the region will be paying attention this evening. floodlights overhead almost magnify this experience as Fran Perlo, as Kai side hope that they're destined for a lengthy run in this 2020 Scotiabank Concacaf League campaign. Coins been flipped, decisions made, and a look at the starting lineups in this affair. We begin with Kai, led by Fran Perlo. In Omar Browne, they certainly have a player that is known to score in CONCACAF competition. Fajardo returns after a lengthy injury spell, nearly a year off the field, played just over 100 minutes for the men's national team of Panama against Costa Rica a few weeks ago. They just announced in the stadium a moment of silence to honor those who we've sadly lost due to COVID-19, and to thank all the healthcare professionals who put their lives at risk to keep our communities safe, as the referees and the players coming together to acknowledge the circumstances in which we exist at present. Look at Juan Torres, the Mexicans' starting lineup. New addition in the Clausura, Martinez up front. Nicolas will look to find his first goal in Antigua colors in international competition. Arriola in midfield, 8 Guatemalan titles over a 15-year Sterling career. And Ayala, the goalkeeper, will make his international debut. The available substitutes in this affair: Pinto, Moran, and Gonzalez for Kai, all featured in their most recent contest in CONCACAF, but begin this current iteration on the bench. Jimenez and Miranda have featured for Antigua in their most recent domestic game off the bench tonight. The watch is set. Ready to watch as well. From Panama City, Scotiabank Concacaf League preliminary round action. Kai of Panama against Antigua of Guatemala. It has been unique how different countries have handled domestic play over the course of the preceding months. For Nicaragua, they never stopped. Managua perhaps at a significant advantage in that way. For Panama, their domestic league returns tomorrow. First game of the domestic league for Kai will be over the weekend. For this Antigua side, already 7 games in to the fall season. Sent forward by Rosales. Away by Arellano, who makes his club debut. This will set up here for Kai to chase this down. Throw for Antigua. Betancourt. Liga Nacional Golden Boot winner when he was a 21-year-old. Here he is now 8 years later, trying to continue to bottle up that magic. Arriola. Corner, Antigua. Fran Perlo leading this Kai side in his traditional 4-4-2. Third managing job in Panama, was appointed before the CONCACAF Champions League campaign in 2019. Giovanni Hernandez. Kept in by Betancourt. Whistle and a foul. Shy of midfield. It's Alexi Palacios. Featured prominently in the 2018 CONCACAF League with Arabe Unido, one of Panama's top sides. Further with Fajardo in mind. Palacios surrounded, swings this cross through, and it's dangerous. This is a foul. Stevens powering through Betancourt. Just appeared to clip him. Minimum, it had certainly invaded his airspace. This is a fairly remarkable cross when you consider the conditions in which it was put in. The speed of Ariano. Not going to be afraid to take that step if he sees the space. Independiente came to recognize the field yesterday. Antigua announcing yesterday that all COVID-19 tests had come back negative. Their traveling party of about 35. Cordoba. Ramos. Sprays this forward. Rosales gives chase. Fajardo flies by. Rosales trying to maintain his feet. Bense. Aguila. Garcia. Extensive COVID-19 protocols involved across Scotiabank Concacaf League. There were 2 positive tests for Managua reported. That match able to continue, however. The 2 involved, a player and a staff member, placed in isolation. The opening match, however, Verdes FC of Belize, featuring a significant enough outbreak. The match did not go on last night. Certainly will be a continuing storyline to follow throughout Scotiabank Concacaf League. Stevens, a throw for Kai. It's a field that's seen better days. 75 minutes before, this long ball clipped ahead out of the reach of Palacios. About 75 minutes before kickoff today, members of the grounds crew making every effort to fill every last spot. And doing so, leveling out the field. The pressure and pace right now of Kai is simply too much for Antigua. Omar Brownie drops in, slides this through, and certainly Palacios thought he was in an offside position when it was struck. Betancourt lost it. Lemos. Dominguez. Now, Kervin Garcia. Garcia remains down. This will be a goal kick for Kai, just as soon as they attend to the injured Antigua player. Holding his head, that's Kervin Garcia. Look at the play that caused the stoppage. disappeared on the follow-through. Alexi Palacios at his elbow rise into the head there of Garcia. Garcia, really interesting case. Players put his career over his financial well-being. Champion in the lower divisions, and in signing with Antigua and seeking his first international soccer at the age of 29, told the local press his focus very much not the financials of the offer, but the ability to win. The ability to play in CONCACAF surely comes to mind as well. Throw for Josue Martinez, who walks away. The way that bounced up, looked like that could have been easily a handball against Cordoba. Launched into the penalty area and spun back toward Martinez. And this hammered off target, Jose Mena. Gila won the throw. Francisco Bense steps forward. He was called up, the national team for Panama, for those two friendlies away to Costa Rica, played 4 days apart. Didn't feature in the proceedings. Dominguez was trying to hold up play and did so effectively enough. This will fall kindly here for Antigua and laid through by Betancourt. And this ball spinning toward the net, toward the line, cleared away and launched out by Rosales. Remarkably, with all the pressure that Kai's put on early, and they've been flying, it's Antigua who come away with the best early opportunity of the opening 10 minutes. Another look. That was Cordoba who bit coming forward. A tough angle, and that cutback ball. Narrow clearance with Nicolas Martinez. Cutting in just right. Came off of Ariano. Cleared off the line by Bense. Striking moment early here for Antigua. 11th minute. First game for Kai since the first week of March. The March they'd like to forget at that. They're 6th in the Apertura table. Shot here is ripped off target. Betancourt has had a significant role in the early going. Players got cup of coffee in the Guatemalan national team. And again, Hernandez thought he was going to get away with another ball in midfield and picking up loose change. Dominguez. It's a bit surreal when you think about it, the idea that this stadium that holds 32,000, the largest stadium in Panama, without fans tonight. For the modern era of CONCACAF Champions League and now the 4th year of CONCACAF League, we've seen such wonderful crowds at this venue over the years. Indeed, just a bit surreal. Dominguez. This back four has struggled to extend itself much higher up the field. The challenge there was all ball. It's allowed to continue here for Antigua, and perhaps to their benefit. Ball launched through. This is easy on the first clearance. Betancourt swings another service to the back post. Bense pushed it away. Palacios kept it in at the line. Watch that left elbow graze across from Marco Dominguez, former FC Montreal player. Was briefly at FC Cincinnati in their USL Championship tenure before moving on to Major League Soccer. Dominguez left FC Cincinnati for Antigua in 2018. Player with Youth World Cup experience. Among the more decorated and a native of Montreal, Quebec. Betancourt thus far has shown a good motor up and down the left wing. I'd say he's worn the grass out a little bit, but someone came and did that before he got here. Maintaining still, and Hernandez pushes this ricochet out. A throw here for Antigua in the 15th minute. Betancourt. Lemus gave chase, and this header steered simply to Guerra. That's comfortable. He's looking to make Antigua very much uncomfortable with this long ball forward. Brownie is flanking. Never got to him from Fajardo. But he was hampered with free kick Kai. Fajardo with a entire convoy, white and green shirts following. It's Brownie over the ball. Himself had a cup of coffee in Montreal, 10 games. Did manage a pair of goals, but it was his experience with Kai in Champions League in 2019 really stands out. Header back and caught by Ayala. Dangerous moment with the defender, Mariano, approaching the line, and just a little flick would have been enough to give Kai the lead. Possession, in this instance, lets Antigua down. Came into this tournament saying that with it being an international championship, try to play football, be a worthy representation of the nation and the club. But they have struggled to maintain against Kai's pressure. When it really does bear down on you, it becomes quite difficult to see the light. Rosales sends it wide. Options percolating ahead toward Fajardo. Brownie pushes it ahead, settled nearly for Stevens. What a vital tackle. Brownie slides through, Antigua pounds it forward. Lemos plays it back. 6 black shirts across the halfway line to try and win it back, and they've done so. there's any question at all to be had about the early stages of this performance for Kai, how long can they maintain it? This driven ball doesn't help. Another look at this, simply remarkable to take this away. That initial shot on target. For Ayala, that was simple enough. Play that followed certainly had to leave some concerned. Injured player is Stevens. Bit hooked around Moises Hernandez. Gila laid it forward. Palacios trying to trick his way by. Palacios continuing. What a battle it is. And Ayala sends out near the halfway line. Antigua's beaten that first line of pressure, maintain possession, but can they get much further? Mena. Follows forward. Stevens seeds to Brownie. Sliced expertly up to Palacios. Looks in on Garcia. Lobs it back, struck low. They're looking for the finishing touch. Ayala will collect this with Fajardo sliding out in front of goal. One-way traffic, but the best opportunity of the opening 20 minutes came in the 10th. Ball cleared off the line by Kai as Antigua closed in on what would have certainly been a goal against the run of play from Nicolas Martinez. Now Antigua gets it across the final third. Betancourt shoved off by Cordoba, peels both ways. It is a goal kick. How close was Fajardo to putting this in? Oh, solid step or two. And then Cordoba going the distance. Jairo Arriola, surely most well known from his time at Comunicaciones, another team that features in this competition. Arriola, nearly 400 games for Comunicaciones over 12 years. 35-year-old open to a new adventure 4 years ago, coming to Antigua. And his arrival perhaps gave way to what's been a remarkable 4-championship in 5-year run Guatemalan side in their domestic league. Throw for Palacios. Rosales, the 19-year-old Honduran, with a high ceiling. Lost by Brownie. Check back necessary from Martinez. Swim Martinez again, this time hoovered up by Ramos. Seated directly back to Antigua. They're just a bit late right now finding space, especially on the far side. But getting forward in unison just appears a bit disjointed right now. But Antigua side comes off a defeat last time out, a second consecutive defeat. Malacateco. It's the first caution of this game. They lost the ball, and then ultimately Palacios goes through in a way that's unbecoming. Perhaps a bit dangerous as well from Marco Dominguez. It's Ariola. Betancourt takes the return. Betancourt. Step by Ramos. One of a handful of reinforcements over this offseason to try and strengthen Kai into a legitimate CONCACAF League favorite. The frustration from Stevens, thought he had won that ball. Has this game begun to close just a little bit? This preliminary round match will send a winner November the 3rd to San Pedro Sula to take on Marathon. 26 minutes in now to this single match, as will be the case the next round. Driven ball forward, and the header toward goal, handled by Ayala. And again, Jose Fajardo looking like he has not lost a step, coming off left knee surgery. Kept him out of football for about a year. Appeared to time that run perfectly. This is a tournament that usually begins in July, ends in November. This year begins middle of October, runs through January. 18 teams from Central America. These two teams from that sub-region. One from North America, hailing from the Canadian Premier League. They'll feature tomorrow night with Forge into the mix. 3 from the Caribbean. Stevens. Stevens, a long touch that extends beyond his reach. And this header by Fajardo, plenty of pace on it. And it's the immediate frustration from Ayala. Features moments later. This is his first appearance club competition, the CONCACAF level. 14 times he's been in the Guatemalan national team for matches. but never has he actually featured. It's his 6th year in total at Antigua. This is his 2nd stint with the club. Fajardo collapses to ground. It's a cheap foul. Jose Mena to colliding, a free kick. Well, it's simply a case of wrong place, wrong time, perhaps might be the best way to describe it. I don't think either side knew what they were doing that time around. Mena rather stoic rather than dynamic in that moment. Brownie and Aguila over the ball. Both have featured at the international level for Panama. Brownie could from here. Didn't find Stevens. Struck on the ground by Rosales. Off frame. So the attention turns to Antigua again. It's a trip that totaled about 1,200 miles southwest, or southeast. Guatemala down to Panama. Team that's managed just 7 goals in 7 games in group play, the league in Guatemala. Team that did lose in the preliminary round last year to that Forge side that's won their 2nd consecutive trip to CONCACAF League. Canadian team. Brownie. AR thought about it. Brownie continued to plead his case. It's an awkward moment here up top. Nicolas Martinez, the Argentine, to ground. Martinez looking for a helping hand. He got it from Cordoba. He does come off what was truly a scary head or neck injury in the last domestic match for Antigua, the 9 in green and white. Collided with Henry Hernandez, goalkeeper. He's taken to the hospital for precautionary reasons. Able, of course, to play and start today. Kai looks to move quickly, and they've thrown it in for Palacios. Off that throw, they've quickly secured a corner. Alexi Palacios, who's traveled the road, big clubs in Panama over his domestic career. Palacios, oh, this is a punch away, threatening for Ayala, and that perhaps he had overcommitted. Wiping everything off those hands. Osmar Arellano, the 10-year pro, fires this forward. Arellano put that right into the 6. What a weapon that could be. And a foul in transition. Counting down, there's a line of 5 Antigua players looking to play off one another. Betancourt. Lemus. Betancourt lobs. Hernandez. Room here perhaps to get in behind. Fajardo gets around Ayala. Fajardo. In the end, Ayala slides in to help secure it. Following Fajardo all the way, wasn't able to finally get it to frame. But the danger that Antigua faces when they do decide to get forward hasn't been all that precise from Kai in the early going. You can't argue with their power and pace. Flung ahead again. Rolls out Alfredo Stevens. Salas, Brownie, Cordoba. Nodded away, Stevens. Clearance taken right back by Independiente. Brownie. Brownie delivers, back post, knotted down. Ayala coming out. He was a bit late to it. Now the whistle ends the threat with an injured player down beside the goal mouth. Stevens did really well to get that in front of goal. In the end, Ayala tried to engulf this. Got lofted over the bar. Diego Montano of Mexico, the official for this game. 35-year-old, most often features Liga MX. Gila trying to set the play. It's done so. Stevens. Stevens can't break through on his own. The official won't help. Shoulder charge. It's perfect at the time. This is with Kai, but there is an injured player. It's Omar Brownie. How about this? From Palacios in behind. Helped set up Fajardo. And two retreating Antigua players. Going to defend the net mouth. Brownie, the game-winning penalty in the 2018 Clausura for the Panamanian side. Helped them reach the 2019 Scotiabank Concacaf Champions League, where he was magnificent against Toronto FC. One of a handful of really impressive Panamanian results over the last half-decade in CONCACAF Champions League. Rabanito against Monterrey, Tauro against FC Dallas. Kai stunning Toronto FC a couple of years ago. And Panama's actually had a really impressive run particularly in the first 2 years of Scotiabank Concacaf League. This, its 4th edition. 4 semifinalists in a 2-year span beginning of this tournament. Really showing the ability of these Panamanian sides on an international stage in a way perhaps in other competitions wouldn't be quite as clear. In this instance, guys made it quite clear. Reaching the final 6 spots first on their mind, a chance to qualify for Champions League. In doing so, hoping they put themselves in position to begin to dream of hoisting a trophy in January. Guerra. Betancourt, who was heavily involved early but slowed of late. Stevens. Nearly for Bense. Slid forward. Bense. Bense, service again. Over Fajardo. Cordoba sent it forward. Palacios. Stevens. Fajardo! Wide. Looked like Fajardo indeed was offside, as was ruled, and that was a lot closer on the first pass than initially appeared, but this certainly appears to be little doubt. The angle just marginally is going to exacerbate the question. 41st minute, Kai of Panama, Antigua GFC of Guatemala. Brownie was hassled. Free kick. Brownie played that short, perhaps to the surprise of his own players. Dominguez had snuck in and continued to follow the play. Lemus. Slap to the backside. Dominguez arriving at just the right time. Oh, ushered through. This is well done. Can Antigua get a little bit closer this time around? Giovanni Hernandez, a native of Guadalajara, who played for Chivas for a 9-year stint with multiple loans baked in. Had a quiet opening half, but it's Hernandez here. A header steered across the 6 and spits out the other side untouched. Three fantastic matches tomorrow. certainly there was a look around there. The field seemed to come up a bit on Guerra more than he expected. Municipal Limeño taking on Forge FC. Alajuelense taking on Cibao. Antigua and Comunicaciones. All featuring on the final day of the window, the preliminary round matches. All single matches, as mentioned previously. Same can be said about the round of 16. Dominguez for Hernandez, left that short. Perhaps what's most intriguing about the single matches in the opening 2 rounds, as Fajardo with a clever first touch to bypass 2 defenders. Brownie. Oh, Brownie steps by Lemus. Brownie looking to play a 2-man game. Is sent out. When you think about how you qualify for Champions League, this will come back to a previous play to provide a yellow to Marco Dominguez. All of a sudden, there's fewer games help decide who goes through to Champions League. Begin to take stock in the round of 16. And the 2 highest point getters of the teams that ultimately fall out in the quarterfinals continue on to Champions League as well. Well, now with the round of 16 being a single match, there's going to be a thinner margin for error. Something to keep in mind for these teams. Although in this initial round, the only question that remains, can you survive and advance? That was a slick move. Now it's Palacios who's down. And look at Jose Mena. Costa Rican barking back. There shouldn't be much, if any, first half stoppage time. Now Dominguez is down. And not seemingly very comfortable right now. This is something that Dominguez will likely labor through at halftime. Not much left here in this first half. Away from Brownie, and indeed that's it for the opening stanza of this Scotiabank Concacaf League preliminary round match. Best chance, believe it or not, belongs to Antigua. Kai came out flying in the opening 25 minutes, and it looked like their pressure was going to create something offensively. It simply hasn't materialized, but Antigua have to feel quite good. They created 2 decent chances in this first half. If they're able to bag a goal, perhaps they can go away from Panama City with what would be a fairly remarkable upset. It is halftime in this Scotiabank Concacaf League preliminary round game. It is Kai 0, Antigua 0. return of soccer in Panama. Long, long overdue for these players. Kai taking on Antigua in the preliminary round of Scotiabank Concacaf League. Look at the early going. This is the best chance by far for either side. Cleared off the line. It's Nicolas Martinez, who in the end steered that down. But really, Kai, the better team in this first half. They showed their pace, their pressure. Times was stifling. Antigua struggled to play through it, especially the opening 20 minutes. The amount of energy they ultimately used. Fajardo allowed this to bounce down. In the end, gets blasted over the bar. Final effort from Palacios. That proved to simply be a goal kick, and the halftime whistle came with both sides laboring for their breath and heading into the dressing room 0-0. Here's a look at first half statistics. Antigua does have more of the possession, and Kai seemed perfectly content to allow that to occur. Here's what's shocking. Antigua in the end leading all statistical categories. And Kai just struggling in the end to turn all their efforts into anything of significance. Well, you can say it officially now. The lights are back on in Panama, but Kai struggling at the outset here to really put Antigua to the sword. Halftime of this preliminary round, Scotiabank Concacaf League game. It's Kai 0, Antigua 0. Estadio Romel Fernandez in Panama City. No fans tonight as Scotiabank Concacaf League returns to Panama. Soccer returns to Panama for the first time in just about 7.5 months. Scoreless at the break between Kai of Panama and Antigua GFC of Guatemala. First half more Jackson Pollock than Michelangelo. It was ultimately one in which Kai exerted so much energy in the opening half an hour, only to come away with nothing. What do they have in store in this second half? It's their first competitive match since the first week of March. For Antigua, it's their 8th game in that span, beginning their Apertura season a little over a month and a half ago. Underway, half number 2. Kai in possession, Black Kits tonight. Stevens had bright moments in this first half. Fires this to a player in an offside position. Brownie's been off on the right, allowing Fajardo largely to roam up front. Fajardo has had 2 or 3 decent looks of his own thus far. Can they find their way in behind once or twice more when they do win the ball high up the field and they create something from that moment? Another look, and that's how close it was. Not quite an instance where a potential VAR scenario would have lines overlapping, but not far away from it. Skies past Palacios. Do Panzas Verdes, Guatemalan side, find their acumen here. This is a team that came in desperately trying to play against this Kai side. Last thing they wanted to do was come and lump balls forward. In this instance, it's a threatening attacking option. Snuffed out by Ramos, maintained by Antigua, and a shot that parachute out of play. Corner Antigua. Robin Betancourt came out. Really impressive start to this match. Question being, can he continue it now? Arm fully into the body by Ramos. Nothing to that. Player who at San Francisco played in Champions League and CONCACAF League. Corner here, away from Martinez. Brownie pursues as far as Palacios. Turns down Fajardo. Blown up from behind, seeking Stevens. The Independiente players are arguing for a yellow. You'd argue that the attacking movement being slowed there by Lemos's bear hug of a challenge from behind easily be worthy of that. You can hear the coach, Fran Perlo, asking for that card. In the end, it's simply a free kick, and a short one at that. Giovanni Ramos. Bounding ball into the final third with Cordoba extending. Throw for Kai. Omar Brownie once more. Cordoba. Joseph Rosales. Fajardo. Gila nearly. Karam's kindly for Kai. This continued horizontal run, the challenge, a foul. Brownie just inches outside the penalty area. A free kick for Independiente. Remarkable spot on the field. Does he get the ball first? It's question number one. Sure seems like he does. Kervin Garcia did appear to catch the player on the follow-through, and that perhaps more than anything sold it to the referee. What a place for a free kick. Gila, Rosales standing by the ball. Brownie's there too. We've seen him score in positions like this. He'll walk away. It is Aguila. Swung that well off target. In the end, after all the window dressing that they had provided, two players both consistently wading through the waters in the lead up to that. It's a disappointing outcome. Antigua, despite the pressure, trying to play this out of the back off that goal kick. The whistle arrives. AR says indeed that had gotten out over the line. Winner of this will head to San Pedro Sula, Honduras, to take on Marathon in the next round, the round of 16. That also will be a single match. No return leg. And as this game remains scoreless into the 53rd minute, there is no extra time in CONCACAF League. You go directly to penalties should we still be level at full time. Went to penalties last night, and they were simply thrilling. The opening game, Managua of Nicaragua moving on to the round of 16. They'll face Olympia, won this in 2017. Speared ahead by Palacios. Stevens. Ramos. Cordoba. Cordoba made himself available. That inward run. Rosales strikes at the feet of Palacios. It's a Panamanian side that's going to enter into a very different domestic league than they're used to. No relegation this year in Panama. They've said they'll take it as seriously as they hope the other 9 do, knowing that a place in 2021's Scotiabank Concacaf League remains at stake. It does begin tomorrow. And with the stoppage, a change in nomenclature, the Apertura now the spring, the Clausura now the fall tournament in Kai. They'll go by the calendar as opposed to a traditional European calendar. And much of the remaining CONCACAF region. Bense. Taken back here by Kai, struggling to maintain it. Slide in there, and it's a totally disjointed moment here for Kai. Can Antigua take advantage? Headed down by Martinez. The shot is on. Good save. Guerra gets the ground. Follow is blocked. Ball forward by Betancourt. Martinez did well to put that in position, and Josue Martinez lashed at it. The follow by Lemus. Blocked, leading to the throw. Kai taking on Antigua. 4 stars over that Antigua GFC badge. 4 titles over the last 11 seasons for Antigua in Guatemala. And they nearly found the opening goal here. Guerra doing really well to steer that aside. And at this point, Kai trying to be the protagonist to make a change here. Palacios will come out. He was playing on a yellow card of note. And Peñalba comes on. Played with Churrillo. Did not feature in CONCACAF League in their run in 2017. A Panamanian Youth International. Still the age of 23. Has reached as high as the pre-Olympic team. With Kai, they play quickly, perhaps to their own detriment. Ariola. Now Antigua into the final third again. Martinez running down the middle of the field. Well, both the Martinez were making that move, the Costa Rican and the Argentine. Got to neither, and all of a sudden, Kai looks entirely out of sorts. Perhaps the ability to put their foot on the ball could slow this down, or perhaps they want this chaotic moment to play to their overall benefit. Ariola off the turn. Ayala. Ariola, his 19th appearance in CONCACAF club competition. What's been a remarkable career. Continues at the age of 35. Victor Ayala, the very opposite end of that spectrum. His first appearance, international level. This will be a goal kick in the end, and he's going to go find best area. Actually kick this off. Simply roll it into play. Nicolas Martinez is on this again. Martinez, that extended arm getting out from Rosales. Cordoba fouled the opposite way. Guerra makes his way over. Among those who were called into the Panamanian national team for their return onto the international stage against Costa Rica in San Jose. Time at Santa Emma. That's where he really got his first chance to play, and then on now to Kai. Peñalba. Goes down under pressure. Kai free kick. Seems like a really poignant conversation. Finally, they've identified the line of demarcation. Ayala sets three-player wall. Brownie can really hammer it. Instead, it's Aguila. Nobody home. Hour gone. This preliminary round match in Scotiabank Concacaf League remain without a goal. Throw for Antigua. Antigua fell in the preliminary round, 2-1 in the aggregate a year ago. Kai managed to defeat Robin Hood of Suriname before eventually falling to the champion, Saprissa, 4-2 in the aggregate, including a difficult 1-0 loss at home. Chance to try and get back into it with 2 road goals. This ball crossed, diving header, off target. Martinez goes launching into that. Felt like it came out of nowhere in a bit, and perhaps that's because Nicolas Martinez was in no man's land. Off the hop, this is magnificently feathered in behind. And Bense certainly kicking himself. And Guerra, an instant reaction, as clear as it gets, gives the ball back to Antigua here. Header there by the debutant. Mariano was misguided, but Kai let's pull away with the ball. This was allowed out by Stevens. I'll throw once more and another look at this expertly struck cross, and what a goal that could have been. Nicolas Martinez. Antigua settles, now charges. This slides through as if threading a needle. Fajardo sets this up. Rosales going toward the back post. A misguided effort. Brownie moving more central. Bense. Stevens. Stevens gives chase. Brownie as well. Antigua's come away with it. Cordoba, thinking back to last year, and on national television in Panama to help bring fans out to the stadium, promote the match. Spoke about how important this could be. The international hopes, fans of Independiente, and in the end, Kai supporting throughout quite well. Won't get that opportunity on this day. Yet, perhaps there's something on here. Fajardo slices this back and a shot rolling in. It's bobbled a hair. Peñalba's effort snatched in the end by Ayala. Sprayed over Giovanni Hernandez. Offside flag is up. And Kai prepared to move rather than set any amount of time. Rosales, winner of this match, goes through to take on Marathon on November the 3rd in the round of 16. Top 6 in this competition are going to Champions League in 2021. The winner brings a Continental Trophy home. One that over the last 4 years has grown in recognition and prominence within the Central American region. Look at the previous effort here with Nicolas Martinez, and well, it's close to the mark on the offside call. Stevens, a bit over exuberant in that challenge. Kai, this is a club that suffered relegation, only promoted back into the first division in Panama 2016. They found themselves on the international stage quite a bit, and they've had some really outstanding players over that time. It's a slide in here. Surely it's to a pocket. It's going to be a yellow. This is Hernandez going into the book. It's the 3rd yellow issued in this game. Palacios has already come off the field as a early substitute in this second half. Hernandez and Dominguez now both. And that is a brutal challenge into the right foot. Simply missed the ball. Simple as that. Hear the excitement building here from the Kai players. Keep your eyes on Ariano, 14 in black. There's the service, and it's launched directly at Ayala. Ariano certainly has to be the most complex player involved in this tie. Marathon awaits the winner of this. He left Marathon in a financial dispute a year ago. Just joined the team this week. Announced via Twitter that he had signed his contract. Change is coming here. For Antigua, it's the end for Josue Martinez, former Saprissa youth, time in Major League Soccer with New York and Philadelphia, a bit of time with Seattle Sounders too, now the Tacoma Defiance. They've turned to Christian Ojeda. And then 2 changes coming here for Kai. Try and turn the tide here late and avoid any late hijinks and penalties. Guido Raus enters the fray. Joseph Rosales comes out. Alfredo Stevens comes out as well. Two hairstyles that seem interesting enough. Now, it appears Rosales was a bit of a red herring. Didn't make his way off. Instead, Aguila's the one who's come out. And Juan Gonzalez comes on just 4 days removed from his 29th birthday. Longtime player for Kai, going all the way back to their second division days. A leader back then, a leader still now, 10 in black. This sprayed forward, Rouse gives chase. Has Fajardo running down the middle. Rouse sends this through. Immediate impact off the bench, corner. It is a corner here for Kai. Side playing at home without that true 12th man advantage. The corner delivered to the near post, skied up. Trying to get a piece. This ball knocked back and handled by Ayala. Perhaps that surprised him a bit. He bobbled and eventually pounced back upon it. How dangerous did this end up being? Didn't really seem like it was going to be all that much. Bypass Gonzalez's Bense. Able to really turn on this and pepper it at the goalkeeper. Ayala did well. 10 years, Liga Nacional. Ayala toiling away without a chance in continental competition. Cotopeque, Antigua, Suchitepeques, Comunicaciones. Well, here he is with Antigua once more. Goalkeeper not all that much to do. Argue that neither really have. Antigua, 4 shots on target thus far. Kai has only put 2 up to Ayala. Gonzalez sends this ricocheting down the field. They'll do well to make this a little more difficult, and conditions as it is, it looked like that was going to stay in the end, just does trickle out. Perhaps that's a lit match now for Kai. It backed Antigua all the way down into the corner. Gonzalez skies it. Bypasses Hernandez. Substitute awaits. It's Kevin Arriola set to come on. Part of a team back in 2012 that managed to help knock out Chivas in what was the old group stage format of the Champions League, and made Monterrey a difficult run for their money. And in aggregate, 4-2 they went out. Header further forward by Rouse, kept alive. Fajardo, he lost his footing, but still managed to pirouette and get this off an Antigua player. Corner, Kai, 75th minute. Corner launched, bounces in front. Whistle blows. Goalkeeper, center back alike, both ended up on the ground. Guido Rouse was in the middle of that again. And there's that additional challenge on newly acquired defender, Osmar Ariano. '76th minute, Kai and Antigua on level terms. If it remains this way at the conclusion of the 90 minutes, we go directly to penalties. Penalties have only come into play 8 times, never more than 3 times in a single tournament in the now 4th year of Scotiabank Concacaf League. They could have 2 matches go to penalties in the first 2 games in 2020. Offside. Now the whistle bringing this back for a throw. See if we can't get a better look. AR's looking down the line. Ariano played it forward. Bense. Ojeda. Rosales deflects away. Guatemalans come away with it. Room here. Dominguez to explore. Iro Ariola. Stymied by Antigua as Kai was trying to move into the counter. There's no support in the penalty area. Ojeda has to rotate back. Dominguez. Kept and circulated. Betancourt. And this aimed for the corner, but Giovanni Hernandez lofted out. The former Mexican youth international who played in the Ascenso division primarily in Mexico. Also had that time Chivas mentioned previously. Cordoba. Navigating around, Antigua has maintained possession. They do get 2 numbers into the box as well. Ariola. Dominguez. Hernandez. Now they've found a bit of space here to get the cross away. There's Ramos there to defend. Rosales. Brownie. Cordoba. Fran Perlo called this practically a final. No chance to wait for one more game. They have the benefit of playing at home. One wonders, technical director, head coach, pleased with what he's seeing on the day. Gonzalez tried to keep that away, swinging through Peñalba. Antigua holding up at midfield. Ojeda. Hernandez. The pressure on Arellano. It's kept in through all the contact. Not a whistle to be had. And lifted forward by Peñalba. Grounded further, Peñalba arguing for a throw. In the end, it's a handball. Handball off Jairo Arriola for Kai as he get into the final 10 minutes, trying to avoid penalties. Perhaps an important free kick with those three numbers, the edge of the area. Decided to play on. It's been a much more under control half from Kai. Their game plan of the first 20 minutes most certainly is not carried over. Peñalba gave chase. Rosales called to the 2019 Under-20 World Cup. Featured 3 times for Honduras. Look at this missile from a long way out. Gonzalez thought he'd try his luck. Changes coming here. Antigua pushing once more. Pablo Aguilar comes on. Former University of Virginia player. Won the 2014 NCAA Collegiate National Championship in the United States. Played at Rio Grande Valley FC. The USL Championship, the American Second Division. A dual American and Guatemalan citizen. Former draft pick of the Houston Dynamo. Coming out of UVA. It is always an outstanding Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC college game. Antigua trying to trail away with this, and Jose Mena pushed down by Rosales. Aguilar came on. Alan Miranda has checked in as well. Player with 8 appearances in CONCACAF Champions League. Comunicaciones and Herediano both. As well as about a half dozen caps for the Costa Rican national team, including a World Cup qualifier in 2018. And Antigua perhaps has something interesting here. Slides away, simply too concentrated in that moment. This will squirt out pleasantly. Rouse eventually brought down. Gonzalez. So we continue on into the dying minutes of this. No second leg. This game in Panama is decisive between Kai and Antigua of Guatemala. Winner plays on November the 3rd against Marathon. The other team, no chance to go to Champions League in 2021. They'll have to improve their form in the case of Antigua. Chance for CONCACAF League again next year. This will bounce through, and maybe Fajardo could have laced that into the net. Instead, lofts it over. Well, poor clearance nearly did Antigua in. You have to get more on it than that. Fajardo turns around and blasts it away with Ayala charging. And Fajardo, who just returned from left knee surgery that kept him out of the game for a year's time. So close. Would have been a remarkable return for the club. Rosales out now. Martin Moran coming on. Began training with the first team back in September of 2019. Kai Academy product. Could play a real role late in this game. We're in the 86th minute now. Penalties are looming. Gonzalez. Driven forward, peering around. Rouse had trouble maintaining that. That's 4 subs in the can for Kai. 4 for Antigua. Another team yesterday chose to use their full complement of subs. Same to be said today. Gonzalez. Not hamstrung by Lemos. This turns into a fool's errand for Fajardo.
Para los polvorones que no suelten nada de harina.
Hammered away by Ayala. Again, he tries to keep this one side or the other. Doing so, perhaps he's unleashed the counter for Kai as they do finally take over. Short-lived, however. 88th minute, now Antigua enter the final third. Hernandez nearby, it's Aguilar. Hoping one more touch could move Miranda up the field. Instead, it's Kai once more. Brownie. Referee trying to keep peace right now. Seems Lemus. Brownie trying to exact a bit of revenge here against one another. Ariano's gotten all the way up to the edge of the 18-yard box. If Antigua can force this the other way rapidly, they could put the pressure on Kai off this set piece. Kai's going for it all here with 90 seconds and stoppage to play in a game that has not had very many stoppages. Floated forward, they're looking for a second ball across. Played low, Peñalba. And is this the moment for Antigua to charge forward? Got Aguilar furthermost forward. Bensay steps in, Antigua continues. Aguilar. Shoulder charge. Nearly gave Fajardo the advantage. Dominguez. grabbing for the back of his legs. Dominguez being chased down by the substitute Guido Raus. Fourth official awaits to provide stoppage time. 3 additional minutes separate us from penalties right now if there isn't a winner. This will bounce through kindly for Antigua. Edge of the penalty area. Ariola couldn't drag it through. Out to midfield. Miranda looking for the return. Miranda got the smallest of pieces of Ariano. Foul from Lemos. Moran. Antigua nods this away from their own end. Moran pushed it forward, and he'll chase this now. Moran puts it on the ground. Fajardo following. Fajardo launches out, wins a corner. 100 seconds to go. Last year, not a single preliminary round match went to penalties. We're on the verge of 2-2 games to start 2020. Peñalba, mouth agape. Peñalba delivers a header, skies from Ariano, off target. Exactly where Juan Antonio Torres, the 52-year-old manager for Antigua, would like to be, one would imagine right now, in the catbird seat. 45 ticks to go, and they're about to go on the road, draw Kai, and go to penalties. Still just a little bit of time left for that to change. A goal now surely would be decisive. Good second effort to keep this away. Miranda stretching out his legs a bit. Throw Antigua, 15 seconds. Sheer exhaustion starting to weigh in now. They've thrown in now. They'll get one more chance. It's booted out, another throw. And the full-time whistle takes us to penalties. Well, this has been a difficult match for both sides. Kai exerted so much in the early going, only to come away with nothing. Antigua, well, certainly came away with the best chance of them all 10 minutes in. Ball cleared off the line. And for a second consecutive game to start Scotiabank Concacaf League, we are going to penalty in mere moments. Estadio Ramel Fernandez in Panama City. It's Kai 0, Antigua 0.
Dale, capitanes. Capitanes.
What a way to return to soccer in Panama. A match that goes the distance. Antigua will feel like perhaps they really came into this game a hair too late. The Kai side, it'll feel like they allowed their best moments to elude them early on. In the end, they were throwing significant body blows at the end. There was no knockout punch. So we are going to penalties in this Scotiabank Concacaf League preliminary round game. 6 teams will go home, leaving us with a round of 16 at the end of this week. Who plays November the 3rd? It's Eddie Roberts, the reserve goalkeeper, who's leading the huddle on the Kai side for Antigua. Certainly going away here, it would be an impressive win at Kai. Coming off 2 straight defeats, they saw 5 Kai matches on film to try and prepare for this moment, but always so difficult to know what you're going to get out of a team that's yet to play in their domestic season yet. Both have made quite clear the importance of representing their countries, representing their clubs, and having an international future in 2021 guaranteed to them through their play in CONCACAF League. Now, perhaps that comes down to just 5 quick strikes of the ball. Perhaps the journey is just beginning. Such are the stakes under this heightened spotlight in a fanless Stadio Romel Fernandez in Panama City. Renovated in 2009, the shape of the bowl itself and the facade renovated in its entirety. This field tonight worked on about an hour and a half prior to kickoff in an attempt to make it entirely playable. It was a game with grit and determination. This Kai side is hoping they can come out on top at home despite missing that all-important true home field advantage. Meanwhile, it's a Guatemalan team hoping they didn't fly 2,000 kilometers to go home in sheer disappointment. Referee will carry this down. It's, as we all know it, 5 rounds and then potential sudden death. Coin has already been flipped. Decide who will go first. But it is quite remarkable that we're seeing this now twice in a row. It's the first time in the 4-year history of the competition that 2 consecutive games have gone to penalties at any point, much less in the preliminary round. Goalkeepers arriving. And the conversation surely will be quite swift and clear. Don't leave the line early. Don't give the AR a reason to allow a retake. We've had these goalkeepers pick sides now. Here we go. Antigua will kick first. It's the substitute, Kevin Ariola. Jose Guerra protects his net. Guatemalan side gets the first chance to strike a blow in penalties. Ariola awaits. Is he the star of this moment? Ariola delivers. Antigua, the early advantage. And the attention turns to Victor Ayala. Long, winding career through Guatemalan domestic football, and now on the international stage being asked to help secure their pass. It is Fajardo. What a harrowing journey he's had coming off a knee injury. Back into the national team. Oftentimes threatening, but never quite hitting the mark here tonight. Ayala bouncing. Fajardo. Saved! Ayala strikes the first blow. Fajardo unable to convert. He had the best chances for Kai in the run of play. When it came to penalties, Ayala had his number. Antigua leads. And turn to Marco Dominguez. Key moment perhaps for Guerra. Long run up for Dominguez. Dominguez able to get it by. He dove the right way. Guerra got a piece, but in the end, Antigua up 2-0, entering the bottom half of the second round. Ayala waits. Another substitute, Guido Rouse, runner-up the domestic league a year ago, entering into the fray at Kai. Rouse settles and scores. Couldn't have hit that any sweeter. Critical moment for Rouse to fire that in. (2-1) entering the third round. Guerra must make one save here. The question is when. Moises Hernandez, former American under-20 player. Hernandez, down the middle. A strident finish, 3-1 Antigua. A hair left of center. Moises Hernandez, the former FC Dallas youth player, delivers. This could put Antigua on the verge. It's Brownie. Brownie, the stutter, and he's able to get it in. Waved in by Ayala in the end. The cheekiness of this finish. Wow. He almost paid a dear, dear price for that. Brownie able to chip the keeper. Just enough. 3-2. Fourth round. for Antigua. Are they an inch closer now? Ojeda cashes in. 4-2. It's a must-make now for Kai. A save here now from Ayala would send Antigua on to San Pedro Sula November the 3rd. It would be simply a massive win for the Guatemalan side. He made a save against Fajardo early. Now, all eyes on Juan Gonzalez, who's been with this Kai side since their promotion. Gonzalez puts it over, and Antigua into the round of 16. Gonzalez with this club through its second division days, helped carrying them to glory. And tonight under the lights, behind closed doors at Estadio Ramel Fernandez, it's the face of Victor Ayala that's going to be most searing for Panamanian fans. Antigua GFC of Guatemala draw away to Kai and win it in penalties, 4-2. For our entire wonderful team, both in Panama and beyond, Mike Watts saying thanks for watching Scotiabank Concacaf League. Good night.
Quiero abrazar a todos. Buen trabajo, buen trabajo. Felicitaciones, bendiciones.